Hey everybody, hope you all are doing well. Today I would like to do a pick a card reading on your love story, and what I will do is a Celtic cross, and when you're ready just pick one deck, number 1, 2, 3, or 4, and we'll get started. Okay. Okay. This is deck number 1. It is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, pocket size. Okay, so your love life. This is the situation. Okay, so I'm getting justice, and that is a card that can point to a decision that you're trying to make, one that can be relatively hard, or you're dealing with a legal matter concerning somebody you may be involved with. Right off the bat, this card doesn't say much about your current situation as far as your status. The rest of the reading should tell me more. This is your obstacle or your challenge. Okay, so what this card points towards is difficulty with communicating with somebody, or curiosity. It could be that somebody you know is very curious about you, or somebody that you are interested in is also curious to get to know you, which in this case would be a positive thing. The obstacle card is not always negative. It can also be positive. Okay, and the next card is the root or the foundation, and we have the Two of Pentacles. Okay, so the Two of Pentacles is about situations that can be volatile. They can point towards ups and downs, highs and lows, or even just having fun. The relationship could have been based on a fun relationship, like a fun situation. You guys might have met through something, fun or positive. You could have met at an amusement park or at a festival, something like that. But it can also mean when your situation has just been highly volatile. Okay, and the recent past is the Nine of Cups. So this points to things that have either gone positive for your relationship, or you've reached a point of happiness and satisfaction. And one thing that I'm going to say is that based on the cards as I'm seeing here, it doesn't really look like there is a relationship going on, because I don't see any cards that point to being a couple. Like a lot of these cards are more solitary, like the Nine of Cups is solitary, so is the Two of Pentacles, and it just seems like maybe you're looking for something. Maybe you're deciding, do you even want to be in a relationship? So those things um, also can be possible here. And your conscious influence is the Six of Pentacles. So um, this tells me, it's interesting. I'm noticing that there's two scales here. This can point towards possibly if you are in a relationship, you could be looking to get divorced, or you're thinking about a divorce. And this can point to the settlement matter. Another thing that I would say comes to mind with the Six of Pentacles is that you've been feeling like you're always the one giving, like you're always the generous one, the giving one, and you're thinking, is this my role? Is this what I'm always going to be doing for the rest of my life? Some people are just the giver in a relationship, and that could be something you're going through. Okay, your near future is the Hangman. Okay, so that to me looks like there is not much change. I would say overall in this reading, it looks like a relatively stagnant situation. The Hangman can be like when a person just surrenders, they've just kind of given up. They're just ready to let God decide what's coming in. They're not going to try anymore. They're going to take the hands off the steering wheel, that kind of thing. Okay, your attitude and your energy is the Knight of Wands. Okay, and the Knight of Wands is a card about independence, having passions and going from one thing to another. Now that I'm seeing multiple cards here, I'm starting to think maybe what you're dealing with has more to do with not finding somebody that interests you, because sometimes the Knight of Wands can represent a person that doesn't want to settle. They meet people, they have choices. People can feel passionately about them, and then they just don't want to settle. So that's one thing that the Knight of Wands can represent. And now your environment card is the Star. So what it shows here is that you actually are viewed as a very good, kind person, because the environment card can also represent what people think of you, like what they're thinking of you, their opinion of you, the environment in which you operate in. Like there's a lot of goodwill energy. You could be also just trying really hard to maybe manifest something good to come into your life, like what's meant to be, because sometimes the Star card can represent astrology, fate, destiny, peace. And so looking at this, I would say that you likely are in a pretty good environment where you're overall optimistic. Okay, and this is the hopes, fears, or guidance card. Okay, well, the fear is that you may not be sure if what you're doing is the right thing. The fear can also be you don't trust people. The fear can also be just living a life of anxiety, um, and also the actual advice that comes with it is it saying not to be anxious, not to worry, not to despair. As far as the hope aspect of this card, I mean, it can mean also romance, like wanting to have romance all the time, because the moon can also represent, the excitement of an affair, or, the passion of a relationship in the beginning, those types of things. And so that is something that is something to consider. Okay, and the outcome, ooh, the devil card. Okay, so yeah, so basically the outcome in this story is that, there could be a relationship or a person who you are with, you have a connection with. Maybe you could be thinking of that divorce that I was initially mentioning, but then you decide that you want to stay, even if it's in an unhappy marriage or a marriage that is challenging or difficult. And sometimes, that can be the path that some people choose to take. Now, I'm going to pull a clarifier for the outcome, and okay, it is judgment. Okay, so judgment to me is it's a decision you'll choose to make to stay with this person. You will ultimately decide to stay in a relationship that for whatever reason does not satisfy you. Or maybe another thing is, with the judgment card, is it can represent forgiving somebody, forgiving them for certain things that might have upset you, might have made you unhappy. And so yeah, so I would say overall this is what I'm getting for you, deck number one. Sorry if this wasn't a very positive reading, but one thing I can tell you is that um, you know readings are just a snapshot of where things are going, and we can always check in again and see if we've done some work, and if things could ultimately change in our lives. But right now it looks like, for whatever reason, there's a lot of battling, like internal battling on something, and ultimately it looks like you'll decide to either keep things the same, whether you're deciding to stay single and, keep it that way, or stay in an unhappy situation. But the Judgment card is a very hopeful card, I would say, because it does point to forgiveness and reckoning and improvement. Okay, so that is deck number one. I will get started on deck number two. Okay, deck number 2 is the Tarot of the New Vision. Okay, what is your love story? Okay, love story for deck number 2. The situation looks like there could be a breakup, or you got betrayed. It doesn't look good. Looks like somebody really hurt you, and the challenge and what the problem could be is that this could be somebody, a male authority figure. Could be, if you're a woman, it could be your husband that hurt you. It could be your boyfriend. It could be your father who's affecting or influencing a situation negatively. And what is the foundation of the situation? Well, I would say there's a lot of reinforcement here, because the Hangman is another card about sacrifice, or playing a martyr essentially. The Ten of Swords is like a martyr. The Hangman is like a martyr. So that really does look like there is a reinforcing message here. Maybe for a long time you've been the one to deal with a lot of sacrifice in a relationship, or your situation for that matter, and you've reached the end. Okay, oh my god, the Tower. So this is about but something like that might have betrayed you. You felt like somebody did something to hurt you. Maybe they broke up with you, or they cheated on you. It doesn't say exactly what the issue is, but I would say with the Emperor as a challenge, that this could point to a betrayal of, maybe abuse, like a controlling man. Maybe a man's controlling. Maybe he's angry. Maybe he's got anger issues, that sort of thing. And after the final straw, you just collapsed, Okay, your conscious influence, again, it is the Six of Pentacles. So I guess it seems to me that there's a higher likelihood that deck number 2 is in some kind of relationship, because it's just showing so much like betrayal type of energy here. And then on top of it, there's this idea, you're thinking like, I'm gonna have to be the giver forever. Like, I always have to be the one giving, that sort of thing. And the near future, okay, so again, this is about feeling like you're the one that always has to do the work. Pretty much all these cards are about sacrifices. The Ten of Wands is about picking up the slack, or doing all the hard work. Okay, your yourself, like your attitude, is the Empress. So that means that you could be a mom, you could be a very nurturing woman, you could be very nurturing, kind, loving, um, and that's how you are, and that's your attitude. And I see the Empress as a very forgiving woman too. And so yeah, that is your energy, yourself, your attitude in the situation. Now, how do others see you? The Ace of Swords. So others see you as honest, they see you as smart, they see you as intelligent, and if this is about the environment that you are in, you can seek justice. In other words, you might feel like your life is always going to be challenging and difficult, but you're essentially able to call on somebody or someone to help you, to intervene and to help. And so, yeah, the hopes and fears or the guidance is the Six of Swords. So I would say that your fear could be change. You're fearing leaving. You're fearing going into a new plane of existence. You fear being depressed, being alone. The advice is to focus on healing. I'm not going to say, to leave this person if you're in a relationship. If you're not in a relationship, then I would say this is a card that is advising you to move on into more positive, like into a more positive environment, a more happy environment, or to just move away from the gloomy thoughts, the negative thoughts, and to make progress. Because one thing with the Six of Swords that I often think is, sixes in tarot, they represent transcendence. So this is about basically trying harder in something, like to try and move on from something, move on from the past, like to forget about betrayal, to forget about these kinds of things. And if you are in a relationship, I would I think it's something to consider, about moving on and leaving the person if this is an unhealthy relationship. But another thing is, it can also point to trying to get help, with for that person, maybe they need some kind of help. Maybe they need to go to an anger management place. Maybe they need that kind of help. Or maybe you need a vacation because there's a boat there. Okay, and the outcome is the Seven of Swords. Okay, so it looks like you may decide to pull away or distance yourself, or move on away from this person, or thought process. This is a card of solitary, a solitary person, somebody that wants to be alone. It could even be the person who hurt you will be leaving. They'll be leaving. Another interpretation could be that you could be testing something. This can also be a card of experiments, uh, social experiments, and things like that. Of course, I don't know how that would fit into the rest of the reading, so I'm not gonna go into that. But your clarifier is the Seven of Pentacles. Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that this looks like by the end, by the the outcome, right? Which when I do Celtic cross readings, I'm looking down about 6 to 8 months, a year max down the road, and it looks like you're in a place of trying to understand, or doing a lot of self-reflection. And there's a lot of like self-reflecting or reflecting here, like trying to understand, what do I need to do? Why didn't things turn out the way I wanted them to? What can I do to improve my situation? And when I look at the Seven of Pentacles combined with the Seven of Swords, I would say that the outcome here, it seems to point to you wanting a break, like mainly a break from the the pain, the circumstances that you're in. I would say that that's ultimately a healthy thing. But yeah, so that's all I have to say. And yeah, this is the reading for deck number 2. I will start now on deck number 3. Okay, this is deck number 3. It's the Universal Tarot. Okay, what is the love life of deck number 3? Okay, so looks like there's a new beginning right now. The situation looks like you're either single or you have started over. Sometimes this card can mean naivety, like because you see the person's ready to fall off a cliff if they're not watching where they're going. But your faith is high right now. Okay, so the Sun card appearing, it represents a optimism, positive energy, like a feeling of being free. So I would say this is a good thing, because not only is it pointing to being like single, but you also feel free, like there's a lot of hope and promise, and you're really in a happy place. There isn't a lot of negativity with the Sun card, So I can't say like this is an obstacle card, because while you're appearing to be single or having starting over, you know, this card also points to the happiness that you feel from it. Okay, and your foundation. So I would say that there's possibly somebody who's been a female who's been very kind, supportive. It can also be that you achieved something that you wanted. Maybe you attained the life you wanted. Um, you know, it could be that you've been able to enjoy your life, and the Empress can point to beauty and like sensual experiences, you know, enjoyment, luxury, things like that. And one thing is, with the contrast here, the Fool is a beginner, like he's starting something new. The Empress is a like a person who's in living in luxury, or they are able to enjoy beauty, and they're just living a really good life, you know. So maybe the recent past can tell me a little bit more about what's the story here. Okay, so um, I would say that there's a chance that this could be about motherhood. Um, with the Six of Cups can point to memories. It could point to friendships, but it can also point to children. You know, maybe you are a mom and you love your kids, and you you've just decided maybe to end things with a partner, and that's what the Fool is about. And the Empress is about your role as a mother. So there's a lot of this, like, now I'm seeing a bit of like a maternal message here. Okay, what you're thinking is the conscious influence is the Seven of Cups. So this means that you're in a mental state of, you know, you're thinking that you don't have to make any kind of decisions on anything, like you can just enjoy life. You're like a dreamer. And with the Fool card, that does seem to say that, you know, you're not in a very disciplined mindset. You know, you're not thinking, oh, I have to absolutely come up with a solution quickly. This is the Seven of Cups is more about dreaming and taking your time and brainstorming and figuring out what it is that you want. And I see more of the dreaming, because the Three of Wands is again another card of visions. It's a visionary card. It's a card about waiting for something to come in. But the difference is that you're past the brainstorming. Now you're applying your wish. You're applying your stated goal to see if it's even possible, and it seems like it is. And this can point to the dream can be about, since this is about your love life, this is about possibly a long distance partner that you will be with, somebody that you will interact with, and they are long distance, that sort of thing. Okay, and your attitude is strength. Well, that's a card of inner patience. It's a card of inner strength, endurance, tolerance. It can be a very loving card as well, but like tough love. Having the strength in the heart, but also being tough. Okay, and we have the environment is the Queen of Wands. It's a lot of Leo energy here. Maybe somebody in this reading is a Leo. But I would say that, so what do people think of you? They think of you as a strong, positive person, and maybe you've done something that seems courageous. I just can see the Fool here as like, I'm just going to start things anew and bright and be happy. And, people are looking at you as somebody who's vibrant. I don't know, the more I'm reading into it, the more it looks like, you could be more likely you're a female. But it's still possible you could be a man, but I'm getting a lot of cards that point to female energy. Okay, and your advice is to continue being courageous and confident and bold, and yeah, it's something to embrace. Okay, and your outcome is the Four of Cups. So this can point to boredom with something, and it can point to like having an offer but saying no. Like, you can get offers for a relationship and you're thinking, I don't really want this. I'm not interested in this person. I'm not interested in what my person is offering me. Or just lack of interest, that's what it shows. Okay, and the clarifier is the Seven of Swords. So maybe you just decide that you want to move on from whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you are dealing with. I mean, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of energy that points to a relationship. It's more like somebody who's just happy to go it alone. And maybe like at times you can feel somewhat disappointed, with the way things are going for you over the next few months. But I would say just overall, like, don't settle, because your advice even is saying not to do that, because the Six of Wands is, about being confident, not selling yourself short. But yeah, so this is what it shows over the next few months, like 6 to 8 months for you. And yeah, so this is reading number 3, and I will get started on reading number 4. Okay, so this deck number 4 is the Radiant Wise Spirit Tarot. Okay, what is What is your love story? Okay, so the situation is the Chariot. So this is a card of focus and moving on ahead with your life plans, and your obstacle card is the Five of Pentacles. So this is there's a contrast I'm seeing with being strong, and in the face of difficult, like a difficult situation. Maybe you're in a relationship and you're having financial problems with your partner, and that's possible. Or it could even be that your partner is not treating you well, not respecting you, and in spite of that, you're still strong. Your demeanor is strong. You know, you have control over your emotions. Okay, your foundation, well, it looks like this is a relationship that you might have been with this person a long time. There could be, this could be, in some cases, like sometimes, you know, it can mean that the person is married, they have a family and kids, or you could be married to this person and have kids with them. So this is like a dynamic that shows that kind of energy. Okay, and your recent past is the Three of Cups. So this means that about in the recent past, so maybe months ago, you know, within the past year, maybe even sooner than that, it looks like you were on good terms with this person. There was a lot of social, like a social interaction. You might have been more in happier spirits, but I don't know what exactly happened here that makes the situation look like you're struggling. You're like in a tough place, but you are strong, so that's good. Okay, and your conscious influence, meaning what you are thinking of and what you anticipate to happen, is the Ten of Cups, which is good. That means that you have a pretty, you know, optimistic belief, you know, like you think that this relationship can work. It can work out. It can solve. You can be happy with this person. You could be a happy family with this person. Maybe you guys are just having some financial problems, and that's all I'm really getting here. But it could be something even more complex than that. But yeah, it definitely seems like they're struggling with you know, feeling worthy or accepted, or, you know, feeling secure. I would say this is like a card of lacking security. So, okay, your near future is the Emperor. So this means that the near future, well, the Emperor is about a man who's stable, reliable. He provides. He's strong. He likes to be in control. If you're a woman, I would say that you are going to have a man like this in your life. So maybe you're in a relationship and this is the type of traits that he will adopt. But if you're a man, then these are the traits that you will express, you will demonstrate. Okay, and yourself, your attitude is sadness, there's mourning, you're feeling sad about something. So maybe maybe if you're in a relationship, your partner made you feel bad and things were going good and then, made you feel bad. Sometimes this card can also represent things that will go bad at a party. I've seen this in previous readings, and yeah, so it can kind of give the context as to what went wrong. And it can also mean overindulgence and drinking. Okay, and the environment and what is going on. So I'm noticing there's like a lot of Aries energy here. And so it could be the man that you're dealing with is an Aries or a fire sign, any fire sign. Or he could just be somebody who loves being in charge and control. And I'm getting that he could be like a very angry person, somebody that can get a little angry, or confrontational sometimes, or just hot-tempered. Anyway, this is the guidance card. It's the Hermit, and this can also be representing your hopes and your fears. Okay, so you could be feeling afraid of being alone, and you could be wanting to be alone. Both can be true. You want to be alone for a while, but you don't want to be alone forever. And also the advice is, to learn, to take time, to take a break, to gain perspective, to acquire wisdom, maybe ask people questions, ask people who are older than you questions, what should I do? Or sometimes you could just wait for the answer to come to you. Okay, and your outcome is the Five of Wands. So this means that there could be some competition for your attention, between a few men. Maybe you will be finding yourself fighting more with the person in your life, your partner, your spouse, your husband, your boyfriend. And yeah, and sometimes, I'm not joking when I say this, sometimes this can just represent playfulness. It can represent, brainstorming things, like, basically suggesting different ideas. Like, wands are ideas, and you're just kind of throwing out different ideas at each other. And that could be essentially a good thing, because it's good to always bring something new to the table. And other times I've seen the Five of Wands, it represents going to a gym, or exercising, or working out. Okay, and your outcome is the Three of Wands, and as a clarifier to the Five of Wands. And I would say that this really points to longevity, long term, like the word I would say to describe the Three of Wands is long. Like, every time I see this card, it could represent long term relationship or long distance, and so if you're with somebody, you're going to be with them long term, even during the rough times. If you are not with somebody, you'll find somebody, but they could be long distance, but they'll prove to be a long term, like it'll work out. So yeah, this is what I'm seeing for you, deck number 4. And yeah, that is the reading. And I hope this reading made sense, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.